working for somebody, you have a certain bucket of stress related to that.
Sure.
You're just trading it for a different bucket of stress, but there's so much more freedom. There's still stressors. There's still bad months, good months, things like that. But it is awesome to create your own schedule.
Hey, Danny Matei here with PT Biz, and we are in Roswell, Georgia, visiting Will Duncan, owner of Southeast Physical Therapy. He's got an awesome barbell athlete specific office that he's set up, do some really cool work with all the barbell athletes here in the Atlanta area. Let's go in and see what he's working with. Let's do it.
Danny!
Like we just saw each other. I love it when I come in and someone makes me feel tiny. I appreciate it. Will Duncan with Southeast PT. We're excited to check your space out. Tell me this, okay? We've been asking people your area. What do you like about it? You know, what's special about it? What do you like about Roswell, Georgia, and why'd you pick this spot?
I grew up here.
You did?
Yeah.
So you were born and raised here?
Born in Atlanta, grew up in Roswell.
Oh
so
my
I've
gosh.
seen all of this change for the last 40 years, very significantly in certain ways.
I bet.
So this building, probably been here for as long as I've been here.
Wow.
So this has changed hands many times.
Tell me about starting a business in a place where you grew up your whole life. I don't know what that's like. I moved around so much, but like, were there some unique benefits and maybe challenges with that? Like, what does that look like?
The benefits were, I didn't really realize it until I got the space, but I have been networking my whole life.
Yeah.
So I have people who knew me when I was 13, who now have been patients. And
Wow.
they're like, I remember you when you were a punk.
And these
That's
are people that are like adults.
Yes,
And you were
100%.
an
They're
asshole.
grandparents now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was that terrible little teenager. They were like, I don't know what that kid's gonna do with his life. But now they've been patients, and I run into them, all over. And
Oh, wow.
So kind of become their resource.
Being a part of the community and having a business in the community, like, what do you like about that?
I mean, it's really cool because I get to give back to the town that I grew up in. So I get to work with kids that are playing at the high school that I played at.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've talked with coaches from the past who are surprised at what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Tell me, when you really outfitted this, what was the intention of this? Because it really does feel like an old school gym.
It was to get the rig. That's the
Yeah.
keystone.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, that's the big piece. And it was to, the niche that I've carved out is barbell athletes.
Yeah.
So CrossFitters, strongmen, powerlifters, anybody that's slinging big weight.
Yeah.
Get them in here. And part of it is because I like to do that.
Yeah,
I think I'm
sure.
built to do that.
Yeah.
But then the other part is the buy-in with that. They come in and they see that, and they don't see little pink dumbbells and things like that. They're
Right.
like, yeah, this guy seems to know what he's talking about.
You got big people coming in here picking up big weight. So you got to have a sturdy rack. This is a rogue rack then, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So aside from this, what are you using in here the most? If you had to say, like, what 20% of this equipment do you use 80% of the time?
Just the equipment or things in here?
Anything in here, I guess. Yeah, it's a good question. Whiteboard.
Whiteboard. Like,
I love it, yeah.
I see people, they're like, what do I need when I start a clinic? I'm
Listen
like,
up, hey, if you're a student and you're watching this, don't worry about all the special tests and bullshit like that. Learn how to teach people what's up with it, what's going on, and get buy-in from them. That's 80% of it right there.
So if you got a table, invest in a nice table, preferably used, and get a whiteboard. Those two things have made me more money than anything else.
Anything else?
So
we talked a little bit about some of your reading over here.
Sure.
And there's a couple things, right? So, all right, we haven't done this yet, but like, okay, you got to pick 2 books. They're the most important books for somebody to read that are just in this stack right here. And I'm sure you have other ones, but like in this book, pick out the 2 that you say, you got to read these.
Well, I think this counts as one, just for patient education, but reading-wise, like just for your own edification, I love Supple Leopard so much that I have 2 copies of it.
It is a great book.
Yeah. I think this is one that I often prescribe to people. They were like, I've never heard of it. How can you not hear of this?
What's your philosophy with dry needling?
So I love needling. I would say most people, even if they've had a bad experience with another provider or something, I can usually talk them into it.
Yeah.
And oftentimes they look at my technique and they're like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
That didn't hurt at all.
Huh.
And so the stem, so I've started to stem the needles.
For sure.
And I think that's the big pivot point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just as effective in my opinion. There might be some who disagree with that. But
Probably, but there are people that disagree with everything.
There's no soreness.
Yeah.
Or minimal soreness. Let's say
Well,
minimal
so
soreness.
in place of aggressively eliciting twitches, you are letting e-stem essentially get blood and movement within that instead.
Exactly.
So you might get 1 or so whenever you're finding the spot where you want to leave it, but
So
then
2
you're
or 3 twitches.
and then you're just
stem.
dropping it there,
Yep.
leaving it for what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
No, it's a touch unit. So usually I'm on it for 60 to 90 seconds,
Oh, so
having
you're
a
using touch
conversation
unit.
with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
patient. And I think some of them who have been alligator clipped in the past and hooked up to a car battery, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think it's a little too passive in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's not wrong. It's just different. But mine is where constantly, how you doing? How do you feel? How does this feel? You know, and I can make adjustments on the fly for them if needed.
Yeah. So for you at this point, what's the mixture of barbell athletes versus like general population that you're seeing at this point? Because it can't all just be like, you know, strongmen and powerlifters coming in.
I would say of the barbell community, so CrossFitters, powerlifters, strongmen, all of that, it's probably 70% that, and then 30%
friends and family?
Gen Pop. Friends and family, Gen Pop, you know, local business owners, kids, things like that.
What's been the hardest part of getting this to where you're at right now, right? So like having your own office, having a busy schedule, like what's been the thing that you're like, damn, that was way harder than I expected?
Trusting the process.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Because I remember like we ate a burger years ago, you know.
I was thinking about that earlier.
Yeah, and it was a great burger.
Yeah.
But I remember I was like, you know, you should be killing it. Like you're from this area, you have this unique skill set, and you know, I feel like it might have maybe taken a little bit longer than you would have expected or anybody else. So like, what do you mean by trusting the process? Because obviously, like, it can take maybe longer than people think.
Yeah, I mean, I was net positive in my first year.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I wanted to, and also I was having to pay rent and things like that, so maybe I wasn't net positive, you know, once everything else came out.
Sure.
But it was, it's doing the legwork. So all the stuff you teach in the mastermind, there's some stuff it's like, do I need to be doing this?
Yeah.
And you don't see the fruits of that labor until, you know, 3-4 years later. And it's like, oh, that's why we were doing that. You know, shortening that learning curve a little.
Right. I would think you would crush it with an injury screen, especially in like a barbell gym. Just like quickly assessing somebody and then letting them know you know what you're talking about, and then hey, coming in, let's take a look at it.
So I did one at the CrossFit that the satellite office is in. And I had 9 available slots and had 11 people. There were 2 that just kind of hung around and they were like, can you see us? You know, on the back end of it. And, you know, so I got 11 out of 9 available spots. So,
well, how many of those turn into a patient?
4 of them, if I remember correctly.
So you're 30, 40%.
It'd be nice if all 11 of them turned into
that's
it, but
unlikely. But you also have so much reciprocity with people when you do that, and 100%. You've helped them with their problem. But even still, I'm saying, like, I think like those little things with somebody like yourself, like they seem to be the best option for what we see. Do you have any goals of wanting to grow, you know, past yourself, and what does that look like?
Well, it's taken about 8 years to talk my wife into coming on. So as of January 1st of this year, she's now on board.
And what did she do before that?
Nonprofit.
Nonprofit.
So she was a nonprofit.
Just like,
it's
like Ashley,
Yeah, exactly. Finally talked her into it, so she's my CEO. You know,
Sweet.
I try to model the, you know, Kelly and Juliet thing, where I'm just the face and the clinician.
Yeah, do your thing.
And she makes it a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
So, you know, working through that, it's awesome, but there are hiccups along the way.
Listen, working with your spouse is a just awesome thing.
Yeah.
It's rocket fuel.
Sure.
Once you figure out how to work together.
Yeah.
Because you can run a family together, that's one thing. But to learn how to work together with your spouse when you may disagree on solutions to problems or how things should be run, and figuring out what lane you should stay in, like that takes some time. Like, how's that going for you guys so far?
The first month was real interesting.
I bet.
We figued out pretty quickly there are certain hills the other is willing to die on.
Oh, wow.
And it was about random things. But now it's going pretty well. So January was a record month in general for the business.
That's
February
awesome.
was a record February.
Nice.
So I told her if we do a big March, she'll get employee of the quarter.
Oh yeah.
You know, that thing.
What's your, so like if you were to say, all right, 5 years from now, you look back, you're like, all right, Southeast Physical Therapy looks like this, right? You're obviously, you know, in your hometown, you're already helping your community, which is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, but like the vision for your business, what does it look like 5 years from now? We can look back and see, you know, the video of it.
Right.
Where you're at and call your shot.
Multiple locations, multiple providers. So if I remember my own goal list that I wrote out at one point, I think it's 3 locations, averaging about 2,000 square feet apiece. At least 2 clinicians in each one. I figured out that I need about 300 square feet per provider.
Yeah.
Not to, you know, get people stacked on top of one another, but to have equipment similar to this.
Right.
And have enough space so people aren't yelling over one another and things like that. So multiple locations, multiple providers, and I'm still treating a little bit.
Yeah.
I realize that if I get to that point, I'm gonna have to throttle back, but I love client care. Working for somebody, you have a certain bucket of stress related to that.
Sure.
You're just trading it for a different bucket of stress, but there's so much more freedom. There's still stressors. There's still bad months, good months, things like that, but it is awesome to create your own schedule.
Yeah.
If you can work as much as you want or as little as you want.
Yeah.
But any issues fall on you. Ultimately, if something goes wrong, it's your fault.
Sure.
You know, you're responsible. So that's the best part.
It's the extreme ownership and the extreme time flexibility. I think that's what people struggle with too, because it's hard to manage your own time sometimes, right? It's like, well, you could play Madden for 5 hours a day if you want, or maybe that's not the best thing for the business. Yeah. You know, maybe you got to go do a workshop, or you got to, work on some systems. But Will, this is awesome, man. I really appreciate you letting us see the space.
Sure, man.
Really cool spot. I love it. It makes me want to pick up something heavy or hang from this bar from a band. But guys, I hope you like this one. A great example of a barbell athlete, specific location, and how you can really work on being a clinical, expert like you are, an artist in what you do is what I like to say. It's just like, this is your thing you want to be the best at. And if you can do that, man, word of mouth is really actually works very, very well. If your service is amazing, everybody's going to tell you about it. Stack on some systems around that and you can scale past yourself. So hope you guys like this one. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.